Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to Rapid Sports Show. The TNA Impact Wrestling May 25th edition review. Impact's actually been fairly good here lately. That's why I've been doing the reviews. The show started off with Bruce Pritchard coming out. He addresses the EC3 issue from last week where EC3 attacked him. He brings out the Impact champion, Bobby Lashley. Of course, that draws out EC3. That draws out Magnus. That draws out James Storm. They all claim they want a piece of Bobby Lashley in the Impact Championship. They addressed, the only person that wasn't out there was Alberto Del Rio, Alberto El Patron, who is the Global Force champion. Which it looks like they're leaning toward some type of unification between the titles. So, not sure how that's going to exactly work for Slammiversary on July 2nd. Then Pritchard announces a #1 contender triple threat match between Magnus, EC3, Ethan Carter III, and James Storm, the Cowboy James Storm. And Pritchard says, if any of you touch each other between now and the match is done. It's not going to happen. So, of course, EC3 walks up to Magnus and goes, go ahead, hit me. He didn't, but it's like, okay, so that sets our main event up. First match on the show was KM with Sienna teaming up with Congo Kong with Laura Van Ness versus Mahaba Sierra and Braxton Sutter with Ali. KM getting the pin on Sierra, and then Sienna and Laura Van Ness go after Ali and attack her. Rosemary comes out and doesn't actually help Ali, but goes after Sienna and Laura Van Ness, obviously setting up something for Slammiversary and the Impact Women's title. Next we had a match in the Global Force Tag Title Tournament semifinal match. The winner here goes on to face LAX next week for the Global Force Tag Team Championships, which LAX currently holds the Impact Tag Team Championships. So obviously there some type of unification going to happen there. We had Paula Ball teaming up with Mario Volkan versus Veterans of War, Wilcox, and Mayweather. Mayweather is formerly known as Crimson in TNA Impact Wrestling. Veterans of BOW, Veterans of War get the victory. Wilcox gets the pin on Bokra. I gave it 2 3/4 stars. It wasn't great, but it wasn't horrible. That's what I gave the first tag match. The first tag match. A lot of tag matches here. I also gave it 2 3/4 stars. Next segment was Josh Matthews comes out and announces that he's a partner, or he's a vice president for Impact Wrestling. No one knew that. Borash and the Pope Telangio De Niro on commentary, like, he's what? Huh? Been an ongoing issue between Jeremy Borash and Josh Matthews on who's the face of Impact. Borash been there since day one with TNA and Impact Wrestling. Matthews coming in a few years ago, replacing Mike Tenay. On commentary, Matthews calls Jerry Borash into the ring and says, "Okay, I don't want to have a match with you now," and this, that, and the other. Tries to suck up to him basically, and then Joseph Park comes out. He's teaming with Borash, and Joseph Park, his lawyer, formerly known as Abyss, comes out, and it's supposed to be a match between Abyss and Josh Matthews, and then music hits, and Big Papa Pump, Scott Steiner, returns to Impact Wrestling. Just so freaking bad. Setting up a tag match at Slammiversary, Josh Matthews and Big Papa Pump, Scott Steiner, versus the lawyer, Joseph Park, and Jimmy Borash. Yeah, that's going to happen. Next we had actually a very intriguing matchup. We had Davey Richards teaming with his wife Angelina Love versus Eddie Edwards and his wife Alicia Edwards. Very very, very interesting matchup here. Davey and Eddie, obviously, the Wolves, teaming together for years, breaking up, now feuding with their wives. Great back and forth match. The women really got involved a lot. Obviously, Angelina Love, former women's champion. Alicia Edwards, I don't know her background in wrestling, but obviously she can wrestle pretty well. Be married to Eddie Edwards, why not? Alicia getting the pinfall on Angelina Love after the match. Davey handcuffing Eddie to the ring ropes, and then Angelina Love putting Alicia Edwards through a table. So obviously setting up something bigger for Slammiversary between the Richards and the Edwards. So we'll see where that ends up. The main event was the number one contender triple threat match. Number one contender for the Impact World title. No disqualification. We had Magnus versus Ethan Carter III, EC3, versus the Cowboy James Storm. And we had new number one contender, Ethan Carter III, pins Magnus. So Ethan Carter moving on to Slammiversary to face Bobby Lashley for the Impact World Championship. I believe they advertised, possibly, if I remember this correctly, El Patron and Ethan Carter for the Global Force title on this week's Impact. So that kind of tells you right there, EC3 may win that. Either they're setting a triple threat matchup for Slammiversary, or it's going to be some combination of EC3, El Patron, and Lashley to unify the two world titles. So that will wrap up the Impact Wrestling May 25th edition. As always, thanks for watching Robert Sports Show. Now just have a great night. Have a spiffy night. Robert Sports Show, your YouTube leader in sports channel content.